yourselves for an evening filled with paranormal, special guests, interviews, haunting stories, creatures of the unknown, and tales that will chill you to the bone. Brought to you by the UPRN Network and Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Take a walk into the night with Shawn Kelly.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Into the Night. I'm your host, Shawn Kelly, and it is good to see you. And as you can tell right now, I am smiling. Yeah. I know last week I kind of cut it short because my mind wasn't in the right place. Okay. But today I'm okay. Got some words of encouragement from my producer and from other people, and I'm going to try my best today. Tonight we have a decent show with you tonight. There's a couple things I want to bring up. And it happened here in Pittsburgh. Last week, before I continue, I need to tell you that, yes, I still have the depression. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do have mental health issues. And I just need to tell you, I feel you. I think about you, and I do pray for you every night. So I might never see you. I might never hear from you. But I will tell you this. I will pray for you, and I will think of you. So hang in there. You know what? It's 40-some days left till spring, so hopefully when the sun shines. We had so much damn snow this past week, and we got some snow coming this week too, starting Thursday. And it's supposed to rain on Wednesday and then get cold and turn into ice on Thursday and then into snow. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But got to go to work. But you know what? Got to stay warm. I got a good car. I got good tires. I got my gas tank filled, and I'm ready to go. Now, as you can tell, I don't know if some of you are football fans or not, but I did watch the AFC-NFC championship game. And I'm telling you what, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's my football team. Now, they're in the AFC North. They're like in different divisions. And, Cincinnati is in our division, and I was really happy for them. I really was. It feels good that the AFC North is being represented in the Super Bowl. And I give my kudos to Los Angeles Rams. I mean, they're in it too. So I am calling it right here. Cincinnati's going to win by 3. And I'm going to say 24-21. Yes. So I'm predicting Cincinnati's going to win. So if you want to take that to Vegas, go ahead. If you want to take it to your bookie, go ahead. I don't want no payback if it happens, but I'm calling it right now. Cincinnati 24, LA Rams 21. So back to the news here in Pittsburgh. There was a bridge over in a park called Frick Park over here in Pittsburgh, and it just collapsed. It collapsed like at 6:30 in the morning, and or 6:30 evening, one or the other. And a lot of people got hurt, but no one was killed. And it was like really creepy because Pittsburgh's getting pwned with all kinds of stuff. And what I mean by that is, of course, January 1st, I don't know if you read about it or I told you, but we had a meteor explode like really close to me. And I mean, I swear to God, it shook our house, and I'm thinking, oh hell, what happened? Like, did a bomb go off? And then like a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, all of a sudden, they're taking some monkeys to some kind of lab. And that's all they could say about it. And here, I guess the truck crashed and all these monkeys were gone. They escaped. from this crash. And it's like, okay, so they got all the monkeys, which is good. You know, I don't know where the monkeys are at right now, but they did get them. And then all of a sudden, this bridge collapsed, you know, and I'm like, wow, what else is going to happen here? I mean, is it the apocalypse? Is it just Pittsburgh is cursed? Who knows? You know, Ben Roethlisberger, he retired. Did that start the curse? Who knows? But it's really crazy because Pittsburgh is a nice, quiet little town. It's a really beautiful, beautiful city, and none of this crap has ever happened, And so I guess we're kind of looking forward to seeing what happens. Jenny on our show, Chasing Prophecy, that was just a show before mine, she premonitioned that, one of the tunnels are going to collapse. And I was like, you know what? You shouldn't have said that, because more than likely I'd be in the tunnel and the damn bridge collapse. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, but we'll see what happens. So back in Pittsburgh, there was an anniversary yesterday, January 31st, 1956. And it was a big story. It was about a World War II fighter, a bomb airplane crashed into the Mon River. I'm going to say it, but I'll probably screw the name up. The Monongahela River. And it happened like at 6:30 in the evening, 7 o'clock, where it was dark out. And there's a lot of rumors going around at the time about it. Some of the rumors said that it ran out of gas. Okay. It ran out of fuel, and it didn't have enough fuel to get to the airport, which is a bunch of horse crap, because, the airport wasn't far at all. If you look at the flight path of the plane, they could have easily made it. Second of all, the other thing was that there was a Russian spy on it. Now, see, back in 1956, I do believe it, that's when the start of the Cold War was starting with Russia. And they claimed that there was nuclear missile stuff on the plane. And so what happened was, when it went under, the military did come in at night. And they lifted it from the river, okay, and put it on the barge and took it away. Now, a lot of eyewitness accounts say, who worked at the steel mills, because back then the steel mills were really big here in Pittsburgh. In fact, that's what Pittsburgh was really made of. Industrial was steel. And they said that the military came around to all the mills and to the people who witnessed the picking up the plane, said it's like national security and you're not allowed to say anything. And of course, how the government is, right? They do decide, what to say and not what to say. But I think it was just, me personally, I think it was just one big cover up for something really ridiculous or stupid. And again, I guess, well, if you look at it, if I'm not mistaken, that's when Roswell was taking place. And Roswell was like starting, and so they claim it could have been aliens that they had an alien on board. Who knows what they had? But it was a big story for a very long time, and to this day, they still haven't solved the mystery yet. And I don't think they're ever going to come out. If they did find the reason, I can guarantee it that they're not going to tell us what it is. So I just wanted to share that with you. it was an interesting story. And if you ever get the chance and the opportunity, just Google, about the airplane that went down in Pittsburgh, in one of the Pittsburgh rivers. It's an interesting story. Um, so it's just what happens. It's just crazy. It's just done crazy. Hey, Boots, how are you, buddy? Who was that? The bomber? Yeah, Boots, that was the bomber. Um, so it was a pretty interesting story. But so much happened in Pittsburgh. Um, there's a lot of haunted places in Pittsburgh too. Um, let's see. Speaking of Frick, I think the Frick Mansion, um, is huge. Carnegie is huge. Um, a lot of the Carnegie libraries. Now, there's a lot of Carnegie libraries, and it was, amazing. The one over in Homestead, especially because they had they duked it out with the union uh, held a strike, and they were there was a big war between Pinkertons and the union steelworkers. That there's a lot of deaths. But at the time that the mills were going, Andrew Carnegie built a library over there in Homestead, and it had showers in it and had a pool. But what he built that library for was for the workers in the steel mills down there at J&L. And so we've investigated that place a lot of time. There's a good friend of mine. He runs a group up on Paranormal Society, and they investigate it every year. It's kind of tough now due to COVID. They don't really allow people to come in and investigate that much because of COVID, which I have my own thoughts on that, but I'm just going to let it go for there. But one time I did get to go over there, and it's pretty interesting. Um, really, really interesting. A lot. Hey, Shawn, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. How you doing, pal? I'm glad to see that you came on. That's good. Um, a lot of ghosts over there, especially in the oh Lord, down around the locker rooms. A lot of activity. Let's see, ghost hunters were there a while back, and I got the opportunity to be a witness. Okay, and so I was on Ghost Hunters, and I was like, wow, that was pretty cool, But I didn't investigate with them. I just was like, was there because I've been there before, and I had, told them where all the ghosts were, I guess. But it turned out pretty nice. But Carnegie was really big, and what was really cool, there's a Carnegie Library, and it's called Carnegie, PA. That was haunted, and there's one down in Brownsville that we always investigate too. George Westinghouse, he had a big man. He had a library out there out east, and we went to go there. And what was really cool about that was that he had a big train model set up in one of the rooms, and just watching the trains go around. But these are some of the places that the very important people of Pittsburgh did. Um, they did a lot for Pittsburgh. But I'll tell you a crazy story about the Carnegie Library. Let's see what you got there, buddy. Can't complain. Need to show you a video I caught in the house while I was doing a live show. Just send it to me, buddy, and I'll be happy to look at it. And there's a story down in Brownsville, the Carnegie library was built, they were building it in that one, and where it was located, where they wanted to build it, was on top of a cemetery. Okay. So what they did was they were supposed to move the bodies from that area and put them into another place. And you know what? They just moved the headstones. They didn't move the bodies. And that is one really, really haunted place down there. So we've gone down there a lot of times to investigate. What we like to do is like go do an investigation, and then after we investigate, we get all the evidence that we have on video, audio, and pictures, and we put on a presentation for the library. It gives them recognition, and whenever people would go in, they would, the library would ask for donations, and it was not for us. It was, to help the library out. So all the years that I did investigating with PPS and all the libraries that we did, we tried our best, tried to get them some, to help the libraries, because they're not really supportive libraries. If you ever want to, donate to a library, very knowledgeable. For me, to be honest with you, I can't read. I got ADHD, I think it is, where if I pick up a book, I read the first 5 pages, go to the middle, read 5 pages in the middle, and I read the ending. I just don't have the patience to read. Even if it's a good book, I can't do it. So that's basically what, there's a lot more history in Pittsburgh. Down in Point State Park, okay, it was during the Revolutionary War. I do believe the French had it, and they were fighting the English, and they named it Fort Pitt. And if you know any history of Pittsburgh's surrounded by 3 rivers: the Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio River. In fact, Pittsburgh is where the Ohio starts, and it was called Fort Pitt, and there was like a big battle down there, and they still have the stockade, and it's like a museum down there. So, even though working through the city of Pittsburgh, Point State Park at night isn't a pleasant place to work, but less about sundown, if you walk through the park, you can actually smell things. You can smell like the gunpowder. You can, sometimes hear some crying or wailing, or, like screaming. And so it's a decent place. So if you ever come to Pittsburgh, what you want to do is go down to Point State Park and check out the stockade, or I forget what it was, but it's an interesting history. You can also Google the history of Fort Pitt too. Now, speaking of that, we have the aviary, Pittsburgh Aviary. And what's really unique about the aviary was that the building was the original Allegheny County Jail. I mean, that's where they had it at. It was the original. That was like back in 1830, 40 something. Okay, that was the first jail. Now, what's interesting is that during the Civil War, the Union troops captured a cavalry of Confederate soldiers over in Ohio, and they brought them over to the Allegheny County Jail, and it became a prisoner of war camp down there. So we had the opportunity to investigate down there, and I didn't know the story. I did not know the story that it was a POW camp. And then it was crazy. We were out there investigating, and I saw a soldier. I'm like, that's crazy. Why? Why do you have a soldier? And then when I found out the history about it, then that was interesting. So Pittsburgh, is a pretty interesting place. It's a good place to live. And I hope that if you ever who's listening or whoever wants to come visit Pittsburgh. Maybe I'll take you on a ghost hunt, or or just enjoy the sights. So that's a bit. That's all I want to talk about Pittsburgh and some of the stuff that we have around here. This past weekend, we went down to we got the opportunity to help out. It's called the Buxton Inn, down in Glanville, Ohio. And what we did, 4 of us went down, and they offered the people who are staying there a chance to do an investigation. And we actually got to take them on. Originally how it went was I saw it on my Facebook feed about this place, and I wrote them an email, and they came back and they said, "Do you mind doing this?" And I was like, "Sure." Any chance to get to investigate? Yeah. So we went down on the 29th, and I'll tell you what, it was one hell of a time. The building is like it was built back then. Literally, it was back in the 1800s. It was a fascinating building with a lot of history in it. Let's see, a lot of ghosts, I will tell you that. We got a lot of decent evidence. The 3 main ghosts that we were told that hung out there his name was Major Buxton. Now, he wasn't in the army, he wasn't in the military. That was his first name, Major. And he's one of the ghosts there that hang around. And then there was a Bonnie who owned a house later on, and she was an opera singer, and she was another main ghost. But this is crazy. They told us about the cat ghost. There's a cat down there that's a ghost. And I'll get to that story last because that's a pretty cool story. But as we were down there, we were doing a lot of communicating with Bonnie. There was like 3 or 4 rooms that we were allowed in. There was the tavern, the wine room, the dining room. And I'll tell you what, if you ever go down there, dudes, I'm telling you, they have the best food in the world. Best food. Oh my God. Reasonably priced too. And then we got to the tavern and wine room, and there was called the Blue Bar. And, by doing a lot of history and investigating a lot of old places, the Blue Bar reminded me of something like an all men's club, like an all men's room, because at the time back in the 1800s, the women never hung out with the men. The men after dinner or their parties, they would go into a room by themselves and they would drink and smoke cigars, where the women, on the other hand, would go to another room, and God only knows what they did there. Probably talk about, weaving and dresses and whatever. But didn't get too much in the blue room. Not too much at all. We had about 10 guests with us that we were investigating with. But there really wasn't too much. Now, I will tell you this, as we were sitting in that blue room, we heard a lot of knocking. Not so much communication with, our machinery, our K2 meters and stuff like that in that room. But they would respond like knocking on the wood. Like I would always say, if you're here, can you knock on the wood twice? And then sometimes they would hit boom, boom. Or I would say, hey, listen, if you're here, can you make a sound? Do something to show us that you're here. And there was a lot of knocks. We checked for pipes, and we checked for all kinds of stuff that could possibly make that knocking noise, and there was nothing in there. So we got a couple of responses from that. So we went to the dining room too, Man, I got some video later on this week. I'm going to put a little video up. I started editing now. And I'm going to put a little video up on some of the evidence that I caught. And I'll put it on my Facebook page and I'll put it on the Pittsburgh Paranormal page. And then you can see what I caught. It was pretty interesting. So after the Blue Room and after the dining room, we actually split up into two groups. 5 in one group, 5 in another group. And we went downstairs to one room. One side took the tavern, the other side took, the wine room. And we went down to the wine room, and nothing really extravagant happened at the beginning when we were down there. But I will tell you this, all of a sudden, our K2s started to hit. And we were actually talking to Bonnie on it. And I got that on video. I got the K2 meter going off when we were talking to Bonnie. So as we were down there talking to her, all of a sudden she stopped. And whenever you go on a ghost hunt, and you've been on a lot of them, you can tell when the room changes from happiness to, I don't want to say darkness, but there's a different feeling. Well, that's what happened. Okay. We're talking to Bonnie. Everything was going so cool, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. And all of a sudden she quit. She quit talking. And I'm like, Bonnie, come back. Can you. And then all of a sudden there was this male that came in. And the room changed to not so happy. It was like a stern type of room. And it was Major Buxton, and I believe that he did not like her talking to us. You know how people control each other, lives when we're all living. They like to control people, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but there are people that can. That's like that in the spirit world, to be honest with you, because however you were like when you were alive, you're going to be like that, when you're a ghost. And so this Major Buxton came in, and all of a sudden she quit, and he came in. And it was like everything just went, no pun intended, but everything went dead. No hits off the K2, nothing. And I was a little disappointed because we were really interacting with her. And so it was time for us to go over to the tavern. And the group over in the tavern, they went over to the wine room. And it just seems like everything just stopped. It just stopped. There's no more, hitting on the K2s or anything like that. Now, Jason, him and his group, they did the flashlight test. Whatever you want to call it, the flashlight mode. And I'm not going to get into it. But if you set your flashlight to a certain way it touches it, and you ask questions, the spirits can turn it on and off, So that's kind of something, I'm on the fence with. But so they got some responses over the flashlights, but we were over in the tavern. And nothing at all. It was just like they all quit, and it was a little disappointing. But all I know is that we had a great time down there. And Jason and Russ, they stayed in one room. Me and Val stayed in another room. And I need to tell you about Boots, the cat. The cat's name was Major Buxton. That's what Bonnie named him. Major Buxton. And they say that the cat goes into the rooms, especially room 9. I was in room 8. And Jason was in 9. And they say that Major Buxton, the cat, he hangs around, he'll jump on the bed and, and he'll, walk over you and, do a typical cat thing, whatever, and cats like to climb and stuff like that. So it was about 6:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden I just woke up real quick, real fast. And I saw on my bed, this is as God is my witness, I saw these little paws in my bed going like this. It was like kneading it. It was like, oh wow, this is so cool. Then I guess the cat saw me and he took off, but that really made the night. That really made the whole trip. Now this place, the Buxton Inn, they have like 4 or 5 different buildings on the property where people stay at. And you know what? It was awful cold. It was minus 7 degrees that night. I was like, ain't no way we're going out there in this weather to investigate. And there ain't no, I mean, it's ridiculous to go out. Now, some people who do investigate, they can do it, but man, not me, because the mist that you would see on the cameras and on the video would be my breath coming out. So we kind of like stayed away from here. But all in all, it was a great trip. And we're going to go back in February. I'm sorry, not February. We're going to, February 19th. And then we're going to go back March 26th. So it turned out, and I'm really looking forward to more investigations down there. The people down there are the people who work there, the employees. They are wonderful people. They really are. They're very kind. They're very courteous. The employer, she's the best because she's really, really nice person. So if you're ever in Glanville, Ohio, I highly recommend that you go into the Buxton Inn in Glanville. And you know what? You're going to have a very, very good time. They treat all their people with respect down there, and it's just a good bunch of people. And so from that, not too many investigations. I had 4 days off, and what I got to do was I looked over my evidence that I had from the investigation, and I caught a lot of cool stuff. So we're waiting for evidence from the other investigators that went down there, but from what all the people that we took out, they really, really enjoyed themselves. Some of them weren't believers, some of them were believers, but you know what? After it was all said and done, everybody believed, and that's my main thing. Okay, I don't want to change people's minds. If you believe in ghosts, that's cool. If you don't believe in ghosts, you know what? That's okay too. Because, whenever I take a skeptic out or someone has a hard time understanding or dealing, that ghosts exist, you know what? I invite them out, and I tell them right away, I'm like, I'm not here to change your mind. I want you just to go out, take pictures and cameras and hang around with us and see what happens. Now, I will tell you this, though. 99% of the time that whenever you're on an investigation, you might not get any video, no audio, nothing. But you do get is personal experiences. And what I mean by that is you'll be standing in a room or walking down, and all of a sudden you feel somebody touch you. You feel somebody pulling your hair, somebody like pushing you. Okay. And see, to me, that's the best evidence for anybody, is just to get that personal experience, and it's definitely a sight. A lot of people that I've taken out, they come back after the investigation and they tell me, I didn't really see nothing, but I got touched where someone pulled my hair. And I said, yeah, you know, congratulations. I usually tell them, welcome to my world. But you know what? I'm not there. I'm not that type of person to say, there's ghosts, there's ghosts. You got to believe in ghosts, blah, blah, blah. They exist. And that's a bunch of horse crap. Because you know what? I can't tell nobody what to do and what to say, what to think. But usually when they come back from an investigation and they had that personal experience, then, you know what? That's cool. You know, and it just puts a smile on my face. Just what else puts a smile on my face is when we can go to a client's house and um, and give them a peace of mind. You know, my phone's always on, and a lot of times I get calls at 2, 3 in the morning because people need to talk about it, and I'm there. You know, I have no problem with it. You know, because that's what we're all about, is helping people. You know. But I will tell you this, you know, a couple things, you know, and I'm not, you know, I'm open minded. You guys know me by now. I just say whatever's on my mind. And there was a period of time when all everything was like ghosts. You know, people would come up to me and we talk ghost, and I'd help people with ghost, and it was all ghost, 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 ghost. And what I come to find out was I was getting like, hey, listen, I want to have a normal life. You know, I want to have a normal life. What's it like being normal? You know, I don't know what it's like being normal. You might laugh at that, but it's true because it just seems like my whole world is surrounded by helping people with ghosts, investigating ghosts, you know, clearing ghost stops, stuff like that. So I said, so I went out with a friend of mine, and we went to a restaurant, and we sat around, and I'm thinking, oh, thank God. I told her straight out, I said, please, 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 no ghost. I want to be normal tonight. Sounds funny, right? I want to be normal. I said, please, let's don't talk paranormal. I don't want to talk it. I just want to have a normal conversation. And so we get to the restaurant, and then all of a sudden she got text messages, and she had to go. Something was wrong with her family and stuff like that. And she even showed me the text, and I'm like, you better get going. You know, she just needed it home. And after she left, I sat there in the restaurant, and I was so mad. I was so mad at God. And the reason why I was mad at God was because I wanted to be normal today. You know, and I got so mad that I looked up and I asked him, I said, well, what's my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I said that for 2 hours from the restaurant all the way home. And right before I went to bed, I said, what is my purpose? I was so mad at God. I really, really was. And hey, what's up, Tony? How are you,
Hey, how
buddy?
you doing, Shawn?
Let me finish this story. I'll get to you, pal.
By all means.
All right. So I'm like going down, and I'm thinking, you know, why are you so mad? So 12 o'clock came around, midnight, and I got a phone call. It was from a client. And 12:30, same thing. 1, 1:30, 2, 2:33. And I'm like, okay, that is my presence. that's that's a little story I wanted to share with you. On my friend, Mr. Crowley here, Anthony Mikulski. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, that's
Okay.
close enough.
Sweet. We started talking, and I'm going to take him on a couple investigations with us and see what's up. We got about 11 minutes. Tony, tell us all about yourself.
As far as where I'm at or where I was.
Video, paranormal,
I-
whatever. You know,
I
we
grew
talked
up
about it.
in a Poltergeist household. I've been semi-sensitive since then. I've been on some of the top major podcasts, some of the top major Facebook Lives, and what have you. And I love being a guest panelist. And I felt like it was finally time to get my feet wet. to actually become the real deal with my experiences, with my feelings, my sensitivity, and just try to delve in and be an actual part of the community instead of watching the community around me.
I'm glad you said that. I was supposed to get a hold of you a couple of days ago, but I was just too damn busy.
I was picking my wife and child up from the airport, so I wasn't overly stressed about that.
You know what? Here's the way I look at it. And how do you feel about this, Tony? It's just like everything is supposed to happen. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as coincidences. So when we were talking on the phone, you were talking about that you've been on some of these panels, and some of them were UFO panels. What is your theory, or what is your thinking on UFOs?
I do believe there could be a cross correlation.
Okay, explain, please.
With experiences. One of my friends actually said to me the other day, because in this house, in the very bed behind you that you see, in this room, I've heard a child say hello, like kind of like, where you hear something and you're like, hello, and it was 3 or 4 times now over the last couple of years. It wasn't my son. It wasn't anybody else. And I just was like, okay. Well, one night I was in my bed, and I was laying down, and I felt footsteps walk along the side of my bed on my left side up to about my shoulder. And I said, look, I have to work in the morning. You're not welcome here. I don't know what your purpose is. I don't know what your reason is, but you have to go. And I literally felt those footsteps walk back down the side of my bed.
Now, were they the kid steps, or was it an adult?
It was small steps.
Was small steps?
Yeah, it was small steps, and I kind of regret it now. You know what I mean? Now I'm going through a divorce. I would like that company in my bed.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it was definitely, it was impactful.
Like how?
Because I woke up. I'm ex-law enforcement. I'm ex-military. I'm a reasonable person. I am a skeptic. Regardless of how I grew up, the house I grew up in, I am still a skeptic to that day.
Right.
And it was impactful for the simple fact that I woke up, I turned the lights on, my door was shut, the cat wasn't in my room. There was no possible reasonable explanation for what happened. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't in an REM sleep.
Right.
It literally woke me up. My eyes were open. I could see the Bluetooth on my Aviance speakers, on the thing. I could see everything around me.
Right.
So that made it impactful, and it made it real to me.
That's cool. You were saying that you wanted to be, have you experienced, you were saying, in our chat room on Chasing Prophecy, that your old house was really haunted. Would you like to share with our listeners?
We do not have enough time.
Okay. I know, but
there was 4+ entities in that house. We experienced poltergeist activity. We experienced physical activities, the doors actually almost being smashed down. I was stuck underneath the bed twice.
Right.
That I could not fit under myself. Pictures on eyes, or eyes on pictures, would follow you up and down the stairs. While we were watching TV, we had an entity would always look around the steps at us, and there was multiple marks in the walls from us throwing shit at it as kids. And our parents never complained about it.
No,
they never admitted it, but they never complained about it. If you're throwing shit at your walls, what are your parents going to say?
Yeah, quit doing it.
Exactly. And my dad would have recurrent nightmares that the ceilings, it was kind of almost The Shining. My dad would say that the walls and the ceilings were caving in, there was blood and what have you. He would wake up with these night terrors. Right. I couldn't sleep in my room. I had to sleep in the hallway or sneak into my parents' room to actually have a good night's sleep. There was an entity that came out of my closet that made everything better.
Okay, like a guardian angel, right?
If you can imagine a more human pale white Sleestack. Okay, the way the movements and the speech was, there was no words.
Right.
But he actually walked out of my closet. I have like a big episode on Into the Fray about this, called Demon Hill. And he would walk out, and every time he would walk out, nothing bad would happen. The guy in the ceiling, our house was literally, I don't know how old it was, but I do know if you went up in the attic, it had a thatched and wood roof.
Oh, wow.
So it had to be old. We had a cistern. We didn't even have a well.
Wow.
We had a cistern and a coal bin, you know,
Mhm.
and then we divinated. We actually have a divinator come over to find our well.
Right.
And he actually taught me to divine.
Right. Now, can you explain to my listeners what that is?
Basically, it is using I think it was the twigs of a cherry tree that we had,
Okay.
a V-shaped cherry tree wig or branch, and you hold it like this,
Okay.
and it will pull itself down whenever it feels a water source.
Okay. And it worked out pretty good then?
We ended up with a well.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, as crazy as it is, he did it first. I did it second. I don't
Mhm.
know if it was, like psychosomatic, maybe.
Okay.
Like maybe I was muscle twitching or following his lead, but it
Right.
seemed to work for me too.
So why, after you experienced doing this with the cherry branch, why do you think the branch was connected to the water? Did you ever look up when you researched on that?
I never researched on it, but I do
Okay.
feel that Earth is Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Trees, what do trees look for?
Ah, true. Water.
They need
Very
water.
good. You go.
If without water, they'll die.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So maybe
Right.
in some basic, simple form that maybe at some point we understood, but we have forgotten
Mm-hmm.
with our technology and what have you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe that was a thing.
So that's thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. That was pretty cool. So I'm definitely going to get you out on a couple investigations. I need to tell you that. Trying to set a couple up, before we go back down to the Buxton Inn. But so you're on these panels. Explain to some of my listeners about these panels that you belong to.
I'm on varied panels. Some of them are goofy,
Mhm.
but deal with UFOs, cryptids, and the paranormal.
This is not. I mean, that's not crazy here. Okay.
And some of them are more serious,
Okay.
but the simple fact is I've had a lot of experience, and I may not have had investigational experience, but I've had
Okay.
life experience, and I've researched a lot in between
Okay.
that time. So we do panels on Fae, we
Mhm.
do panels on paranormal, we do panels on UFO sightings
Mhm.
and videos, on cryptid videos
Right.
and cryptid sightings, and we just kind of break it down, and I'm kind of like, I'm the in-between guy. Like I said, I'm ex-military, I'm ex-law enforcement. I have to have some kind of substantial,
Evidence. Right.
evidence at
Yeah.
some point. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I don't discount anything. I don't say anything's not possible, because
Right.
everything is. We know nothing.
Oh hell no! I mean, being on UPRN for a long, long time. Um, I think are coming up on 2 years with them. We've had so many ufologists on. We had so many people who study cryptids, Bigfoots,
Well,
aliens.
there's two things I'll say. One thing is, I say, if you say that you're an expert in any one of these fields,
Hmm.
I immediately don't trust you.
Oh, exactly, exactly. No, I've been doing it for a very long time, over 30 years.
And the big hominid thing, I'm a hunter.
Right? I don't hunt.
I've been out in the woods all my life.
Hmm.
And, I live in southwestern PA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been around, I've lived in 17 countries.
Hmm.
I've been into every state in the and I don't discount the fact that it could be, but I don't think it's what people think it is.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a terrestrial based thing.
Okay.
I just don't think that that's possible. In Africa, yes, maybe.
Hmm.
In the ocean, yes, maybe. In New Zealand, yes, maybe. Just not in an area that's as populated and monitored as where we're at.
Right.
And Shannon LeGros, do you know Shannon?
Yeah.
She sends me Bigfoot shit all the time because she knows that it's just gonna, you know what I mean?
Sometimes you just want to shake your head at the situation, you know.
I mean, she
And
just
I'm
sent
just
me, she
and
just
I'm
sent
just
me this, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's like I'm not telling you it can't be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you the probability of it is very minimal
Right.
in our area.
Exactly. Now, did you know that Pennsylvania, all right, especially up around Westmoreland County, all right,
That's where I grew up.
is like ranked in the top 10 of cryptids?
Yeah, I grew up in Mount Pleasant, PA.
Oh yeah, hell. Oh, they call it hell, right?
Helltown. That's Helltown.
Helltown. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We talked about that. I remember the R&R Railroad, man. I
Yeah.
have a lot of stories about that one.
My buddy from high school actually owns the Helltown Brewery.
I know him. I know his wife.
Sean.
Yeah, I know his wife. Yeah, I know his. Yeah,
we graduated together.
Oh, so. Sweet man. I did a lot of investigations with his wife. You know, she would call us up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. That's cool. Small world, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
But with me, when it comes to cryptids and Bigfoot, I believe it. Okay, I believe they exist, and this is me. I believe they exist, but for me, I'm like, okay, I need to see a picture, or I need to experience, Bigfoot walking up to me so I can shake his hand. You know what I mean? Not by just some blurry video that I see out there on the internet. And that's the same way with UFO and aliens.
The bad thing about Bigfoot is until somebody has a body laying on a slab.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's simply not going to. It doesn't matter pictures. It doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't matter any of that. You know,
right.
Personally, if you saw him, if you took a picture of him and you knew it was that, that would be, but the simple fact is you're not going to prove it until you have a body.
And you know what else is crazy though?
Which is terrible.
True. But you know what's crazy? Even though you do meet one and then you do get a video of it, people are going to still say you're crazy, and that's not what it is. You know what I mean? So,
well, you have to stop caring about what people say.
No. I learned that a long time ago when it came to ghosts. So, anything good that I get, I don't share at all.
Yeah, and that's it's my experiences. Mm-hmm. My wife, who soon to be my ex, is going. She doesn't believe in anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know. It's one of the most common phrases. I know what I saw.
Right. And that's all that matters is the so you saw. And,
you know what I mean?
It really drives me crazy sometimes when people try to like push it down on you, like, look at this, ghost, look at this, this is it, this is it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't there to experience that. But we got a couple more minutes here, Tone. I'm going to be getting off.
Well,
but,
I had a short experience in Las Vegas whenever I was in law enforcement, and it was the witching hour, right around there. And I woke up and I looked over to my daughter's mother, and she was awake. And something was wrong. Something was just wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I went and grabbed a weapon, and it was just, something was wrong. There was no indication what was wrong. There was no sounds. There was no signs of break-in. There was no nothing. And I went to the front windows and I looked out. We lived in a small apartment complex at that time, maybe 8 buildings, 10 buildings. And I started seeing people's lights come on. And next thing you know, the cops are there and running around. So the next day I said, what was going on? And they're like, I don't know. I just felt like there was somebody trying to come in and murder us or break into our places or what have you. But all of our lights turned on at the same time.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And it's like, what's the explanation for that? You had that dire feeling.
Right.
You had that dire feeling that you were dreadful, that something bad was out there. What was it? And I'm talking in the central Las Vegas. I'm not talking in like some suburban,
Right.
or what have you. It was in central. What would create that
God,
kind of?
God only knows, buddy. But listen, we have to get going.
Okay.
One more question to you, pal,
Mhm.
before I go. Um, what is your? I hate. What is your? I don't like. What is your main goal about? What you want to know about the paranormal. I know you had your experiences, and we are definitely going to take you on investigations. But what is your ultimate thing you want to experience in a paranormal investigation?
It's not about my experience.
Okay.
It's I want other people to understand
Hmm.
that it's not, you know what I mean? It's not
Right.
about a personal experience. I just want to bring, it's kind of like the UFO thing.
Hmm.
Okay. To where in 2017, the gimbal, the go fast, all these videos came about and said, you know what? This shit's real.
Hmm.
It's
Yep.
not a joke. Nobody's crazy. And
Right.
I would like to be a part of that,
Cool.
upcoming of, that it's not crazy. There are, beings beyond the veil. There are,
Right.
different I actually have many theories. I'm an electronics technician
Hmm.
by trade in the military, and I have a lot of theories about that. So basically, there he goes chugging that whiskey. No, I'm just messing.
It's all right.
No, but
It's tea.
no, I would like to enlighten the world with the paranormal as much as the world has been subjected to ufology
Okay. Cool.
recently. So, in
Hey, thanks.
short,
Hey, thanks for popping on, dude.
no
I
problem.
appreciate you coming on, and I'll have you on again. We'll talk some more. How's that?
Absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know.
All right. Everybody, it is my time to get going here. I want to thank you, Tony, for coming in. It was a big help. And we are on UPRN Radio 105.3. And we had a meeting about, getting a subscription to YouTube. Um, I'll learn more because I missed the meeting, but, next week I'll bring something up, give you more information on it. But on that note, happy hunting, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Have a great night, everybody.
And whoever's listening, we're just still waiting for Joe to, come on and take it off. Hey, Joe, can you hear me, buddy? Can you hear me, pal? I know you're busy. Hey, there he is, Joe. Yeah, it was a good show tonight. Good show, and I'm still alive. Yep.